Alright, hello and welcome to the Devstream 91 Breakdown. Sorry it could not be on Friday as it normally would be, but I had to attend my sister's graduation. So, that was fun, and I'm finally back. So let's get started on talking a little bit about Devstream 91, which I'm sure you guys have probably heard a lot about already, but gotta do my breakdown anyway. And then there will be many other things coming this week, of course. So, first thing they talked about was the giant vulture wildlife we're going to be getting in the Earth remaster, which, this is the old concept for it from Devstream 20, which is so long ago I was not even covering the Devstreams. That is a long time. That's, long time ago with the vulture concept. But we got the, in-game model of it. It was animated, flying around, that kind of stuff. The interesting thing to note, I think, about this bird is that the size that they gave it is, extremely large. Extremely large. Big enough to pick Sheldon up. That's a big bird. Not that Sheldon is, the biggest dude ever, but if you got a bird that can pick a human up, that's a large bird. So I don't know how exactly they're going to be important in the Earth Remaster, but, them being that large makes them of note, I guess. So, new birds, whenever the Earth Remaster comes around, which will have an event tied to it, which I think I have a note for in the future. Not really important. Oh yeah, no, there it is. Second note. Okay, good. Making sure. And then we're going to have the comic for HARROW, or HARROW, however you want to say it. Probably HARROW. And that is going to include some pre-operator business, like what the operators were before they were operators, which would probably mean what they looked like on the 10-0. So maybe we'll get some backstory on what exactly the fuck happened on the 10-0. So that would be really interesting. Also, the new Warframe's name is HARROW. They revealed his name on stream, and he'll have a comic accompanying him just as Octavia did, which should be cool. That comic was kind of interesting. I was a big fan of it. And also, very importantly, trade filters. These are huge. This is enormous and makes everyone's life so much better by just being able to be like, what are you looking for? I'm trying to buy a Volt chassis. Just type Volt. You're only going to see people who are talking about Volt. Makes everyone's lives so much easier. Infinity easier. The one thing that they didn't specify is whether or not these filters are going to work while you are in mission. And, be able to still see trade chat, because that would be a thing that I would want. Otherwise, enormous improvement. Such an improvement. I cannot wait for these as soon as possible. Because for me, a lot of the reason I don't do a lot of trading is because it's just, just stare at a wall of text, just chicken pecking for the exact thing you're looking for, and it is a pain. This will solve that completely. So, very big fan of trade filters. Seems fantastic. They also showed off the Razor Fan weapon type, which this is the old concept for that business. That's going to be a new weapon type, a melee weapon, where you have dual fans. And it looked really fancy and all that, but the one thing that I worry about is that we have so many melee weapons that are not worth using right now. We have so many that are just nothing. These are dual fans. Dual daggers are a dead weapon series. They're not useful. I don't know. And I know a lot of that is not, going back and doing balance passes isn't really what, the guys who are animating the new stances and designing the new weapons are doing. But it seems like we have an overabundance of melee weapons, and I know they want to add more, but just making the pieces fit is the thing I'm worried about more so. It looks cool, but I just hope it will not just be another thing for MR, and that those really dope stances have a use. That's kind of the thing I'm worried about with that. And then they showed off HARROW. We'll show him real quick. Boop, there he is in-game. We had some in-game models last Devstream. He looks really cool. They didn't talk about his powers at all. Hopefully they come together really, really well. And they talked a lot about dual wielding. So they gave us a list of weapons that are up for review. That is really important because the weapons that are up for review tell us stuff about the dual wielding. So we got the Kestrel, Boomerang, the Serrata, the Orvius, the Helicar, the Glaive Prime, which are all... but the Helicar has a special function where it can disarm enemies. Everything else is just kind of a regular Glaive. And the Orvius has its special function as well. all the glaive type weaponry is in there, as we could probably surmise from the first time we saw it. The Lotto, the Ak Lotto, the Furus, Lex, Sicarus, Afurus, Lotto Vandal, Aklex, Lex Prime, Dex Furus, and Lotto Prime. So the thing that's really interesting here is that Ak weapons are included, which would mean, likely, you would be able to have an Ak weapon, drop an Ak, pick up a glaive. I think because, like, just with the way that the information was put out, I would surmise that you could take an Ak weapon and just hold a single one and use a glaive, which, that seems great. That seems fantastic. I don't know if that would, like, debuff your Ak weapon, or if you could have, like, an Aklex Prime become a single Lex with double ammo capacity, like what happens whenever you pick up a data mask. That would probably be nutso. And it's nice that a lot of those weapons are going to be getting a revisit. Like the Sicarus, again, that might be nice. Although, like, honestly, like, the way, like, they didn't say Sicarus Prime, and, like, that's kind of fine right now. Buffing up the regular Sicarus would probably be nice. Lex Prime, I don't really know how much that needs to get a look at, really. It's a very, very good weapon. But yeah, it's gonna be nice. Maybe the Lotto will actually be a weapon people would want to use. Imagine a world where that happens. Imagine a universe where the Lotto does not shoot marshmallows. I don't know if that exists. I don't know if the multiverse supports that. So, that would be crazy. And then moving on, we've got some words on the focus rework, which is due for a giant smash. The one thing I'm worried about with, like, saying we need to smash this system is don't smash the things that people like about it. Like, Zeneric and Vazarin, like, what people are using in there, clearly people like the energy regen that can support some more unique builds that have high energy costs, such as Rhino's Ironclad and stuff, and Vazarin being a nice support thing with the free revives. Like, there are things in Focus that do work and people do like. Trying not to smash those things would be appreciated. But yeah, most of it can just go. Like, just sweep it under the rug, get that shit out of here. And then in support of a new further system that will probably be coming later this year, which is probably the giant sentient super weapon arms. That'd be cool. But yeah, I just hope the things that we like about Focus don't get destroyed. That would be very unfortunate. And then they talked a little bit about the Tennocon Baro Katir. If you don't know, you can get the digital ticket for Tennocon. And then you will have access to a special relay for Tennocon that will have Baro Katir on it. As far as I'm aware, there will not be a Baro Katir for players who do not have a digital ticket, but it is not that big of a deal because he's just going to have every single item he has ever brought in the past. He will have no new items. He will just have every single thing he has ever brought. All of it. Every single item. Now, if you are someone who is new and you would like to get those things, I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be going over everything Baro has, how much it costs, and how many ducats you're probably going to need to get. So, look forward to that. I'll be working on that. That should be out this week. And yeah, I am going to imagine it is somewhere in the margin of about 10,000 ducats if you would like a rough estimate of stuff that you would really want to get. If you want everything, I think it has probably averaged somewhere around the margin of 25,000 to 35,000 ducats. So get to farming if you'd like to get everything. It's going to be rough to get everything. Like, very rough. I imagine people's relic stores will dwindle in the face of that, especially if you have recently joined the game. So, that should be... I mean, that's going to be an amazing haul, right? It'll be the best it has ever been until the next Tennocon if they do the same thing again, because ideally, more Baro items would be released. But yeah, that seems like a really good compromise into having something that is a benefit for having a Tennocon ticket, along with the extra cosmetics and stuff that you get for it, without alienating people that would want any new stuff. So that's really cool, I think. I think it's a nice little perk. Hopefully that the relay itself is like a really dope thing also. I don't know what it's going to be, but an exclusive relay sounds fancy. Just a big ballroom with Baro Katir. That'd be cool. That's just dumb shit, though. And then Oberon changes. So, Oberon changes were talked about. Obviously, you guys probably know what my take on the Oberon changes initially were, and they've made some further changes in response to the community's initial backlash to what Oberon had become. And they, on the Devstream, said they're going to let it sit over the weekend, which has happened. It is Monday, of course. And then see if Oberon needs further changes. I think, based on what I have been seeing on the Reddit and pretty much everywhere else, Oberon does need further changes. Obviously, I have not had a lot of time to test him because I was gone the entire weekend. I left very shortly after I put up that stream archive, and I'm going to be doing a lot of testing on him today on the stream. But Scott said he is currently pretty happy with where he is at. So, I'm not going to, like, say Scott is wrong. I want to, like, this is a larger thing where I want to know why Scott thinks that. I don't think he's incorrect, because there are viewpoints where Oberon is fine, and that's valid, but the power level of Warframes varies wildly across a spectrum. What the low level that they need to pass in order to be in a pretty good place is, like, that's the part that is, like, very, very subjective. So for me, my A ranking is where I want a lot of Warframes to be. In fact, I would love all Warframes to be at about A ranking. Up there with the Naros, up there with Rhino, up there with Excal, up there with Trinity, up there with Nova. There are a lot of Warframes that do a lot of various things that are in my A ranking. And that is my A ranking. I want to know what Scott's A ranking is. I want to know what Warframes he thinks are perfect, where they are realized, they're loved, like, really liked by the community. What does a Warframe need to do to get to the point where they're solid? Is that clear level 30 content? I think that's a really low bar. If that is what Scott is using as the bar, Oberon's totally fine for that. And then I think that is where the argument is to be had of where is the bar? Because what they are designing for and what players want might be totally different. And, like, him saying that is not, like, what some people are presuming is, like, a punch to the community, like, you should be happy with this. I think it is more that we understand something differently than Scott might, in that he's designing for a specific thing. What that specific thing is something we don't know what it is. Is it for Sortie 3 survival? Or is it for, like, killing Vayhek on Earth? Like, that's not... Ideally, you would have Warframes do the entire spectrum. Like, I think, Inaros, Rhino, Nova, Excal, so on and so forth, where they're good for all content and more specialized in certain areas. I think the big question that we need to level at DE as kind of a whole, and maybe a little bit more specifically Scott, because he handles a lot of the reworks and stuff, is where is your A rank? Because we know that he stated in the past that Rhino is his favorite Warframe. And Rhino is in an amazing spot where he can do all the content. He's very useful. He has a team buff. He has great CC. He's very survivable. And you could bring Rhino to any piece of content in the game and have him succeed. I feel like that, and have him succeed, like do well. Like, maybe he's not specifically cut out for, let's say, Jordas Verdict to the raid. Maybe he's not the top pick. But if you brought him there, no one's going to tell you no. He's definitely great for that. He's definitely great there. Whereas I think someone like Oberon, if you're bringing Oberon in his current state, and I've only messed with him a little bit since his further changes, I think that he's not going to bring as much to a team as a lot of other Warframes will. And, like, I mean a lot. And he's not the only one exclusive to that. But I just want to know what the baseline is. Like, is Excalibur the baseline? And, like, how is that stuff established? With, like, what needs to be cleared and how easily. And obviously that is, like, a really hard thing to decide. But for me, I look at the Warframes that people really like and use a lot, and it's very clear they're used a lot, like Nova and Trinity. And then try and compare those Warframes that are really solid and they're at the power level of the game where a lot of people are using them, and be like, okay, how can that Warframe compete with them to do something different, but just as well? And that's super difficult, I get that. But whenever someone falls short, or like whenever a Warframe falls short of that, then I would like to see them be better to compete. Like, the competition that I would like to see in Warframe is making it so hard to choose what you want to bring to a mission, because this guy can do this, but this guy can do this. That's what I would really like to see, and I feel like that's just not there for some Warframes as it currently stands. And I think a lot of Warframes will be helped by shield gating, which we'll talk about in a second, that they are going to be adding to the game. Let's move on. Sorry, got a little off topic. I care a lot about all of the Warframes being really good. But as we said, the Priest Warframe name is HARROW. And then they talked a bit about the PC clan operation, which I think is going to be really fun based on what they showed on the previous dev stream. And they're going to have a token system for getting rewards. That is going to be really interesting to see how that goes. They showed kind of like some work in progress stuff. You can see there's some like placeholder text down there on the end. And there's going to be a noggle, the badges, the sigils, some new mods in here. That stuff's all really cool. I'm excited for this, basically. If you get tokens at, like, an okay, like, decent-ish rate, this is going to be probably my preferred way to have an event be. And, obviously, my thoughts would immediately go to this whenever you have a token system and you can turn them in for rewards. Maybe this could influence how sorties could go in the future. Just my thoughts on it. Because a system kind of exactly like this is what we've been really wanting for sortie rewards, getting tokens every day to turn them in for the thing that we're really going for. And maybe that doesn't include the super crazy rewards like legendary cores, and those can still be random. Like you get a random amount of like endo or maybe a legendary core every day, plus some tokens to spend on other stuff in a shop. That'd be really cool. But maybe this will influence some decisions like that. I hope it's done well. It seems like it's like on the right track. It just depends on how fast you can get the tokens. And they did say that the higher level the Ambulas, the higher amount of tokens you will get. So that stuff seems fantastic. And then we are getting a Vandal weapon from that. Almost assuredly the Supra. I would be very surprised if it is not. And that will hopefully be really good. The Supra has always been a really fun weapon that I just felt like wasn't like really up there, but it'll probably get there with a Vandal version. So that would be a very good reward, probably. Maybe also having the research for the top clans again. Maybe that'll happen again. We don't know yet. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. All of that stuff seems like it's coming together really, really well. And speaking of things that are coming together, we have the Kingpin system. So we got some designs of some of the Kingpins for the Corpus and the Grineer. And we have our Corpus fellows right here, Mustacheman, and the other fellows here. They're cool. They're all right. And we don't really know like exactly how big a role these guys are going to play. And the most interesting thing about like what they said is that the weapons that these guys use is going to influence what their like squads will use. So Ogressman, Arcanarman, and Zarman over here are gonna an army of dudes with Ogress. That could be bad. And then, like, you know, the auto lock-on can't-miss rifle. That could be a little rough. And just a million cannonballs, everyone dies. The Tsar. It could be a bad thing for us. I'm gonna imagine survivability is gonna be at an all-time low versus these fellows. So that could be a thing. These guys, on the other hand, like, Glaxion, and then these others who don't have weapons. Glaxion, not so worried about it. But yeah, it seems like it's coming together well. The designs are fun. If they can make that content like repeatable and rewarding, that will be a really good, probably end game system, maybe. The big thing is rewarding, though, I think, of course. And then shield gating, as we stated before, that's still coming. That's on the way. They said they've been doing a lot of testing with it, like putting it on enemies and seeing what that does, changing the curves of armor and some things, which maybe the curves of armor should change anyway. That stuff like didn't work out well on enemies apparently, but they still want to add it for Warframes is what I got from the conversation they had. And that is still on the way. That should actually patch up some problems that certain Warframes have, I think, and that will be really good to see, because the other Warframes that like are already hard to kill are probably not going to really benefit at all from shield gating, but still nice. It's mostly going to be nice for Warframes like Mag. Warframes like Volt are going to be very fucking happy, and so on and so forth. And then we got the pump action shotgun news. Basically, the reception to the pump action shotgun was so good that they're now going to release a bunch of pump action shotguns, which is a good plan. I love the idea of having a fucking solid pump action shotgun to blow some motherfuckers away with. And we got a Corpus one. This thing looks cool. It is so strange. Probably purely elemental. When I look at this thing, all I think is that you fucking cock it and, like, it's not like a shell. It's, like, just lightning. Just fucking, like, a forward-facing lightning strike at a motherfucker. That's what the feeling that I get from this thing. But who knows? Either way, I'm excited for pump action shotguns. I got, like, nothing bad to say about putting my favorite weapon type into a game. So, yeah. that'll be dope probably. And then separate armor customization. So, thank you to all of the people who brought it up in the question section for the Devstream. Because there wasn't a task in for it, and I know that we have been wanting this for a while, and they put the task in for it, so that's good stuff. Hopefully we have that, like, relatively soon, and that'll be awesome. Having your separate pieces of armor all be individually customizable will completely remove the problem that we've had for a little while, which is Sindana's coming out with, like, some weird color channels that don't really match up with certain armor sets you might want to choose, which basically means if Fashion Frame is OP, holy shit, how are you not going to nerf this before it comes out? I'm kidding. But yeah, that should be really fun. I'm really excited for a lot of the changes that we saw in here. That operation seems like it's going to be fantastic. And then I hope that DE tells us what their goals are. Like, in regards to the Oberon changes, like, what is the goal for a Warframe? Like, what level does it need to compete on? Because as a community, if we don't know what they're shooting for, we can't really tell them if they did it or if you failed. Like, there's no... Basically, what I'm saying is that Oberon, as he stands right now, based on, like, the couple hours that I messed with him before recording this, he seems like he's okay, but he's using his guns to really get anything done, and there are other Warframes that do that so much better and have all their powers that seem to function better. That you would be more incentivized to use unless you just like being a Deerman. And that is... Like, if the goal is just to have a Warframe that has unique powers and he can clear everything with guns, that's a goal. And if that's what they're shooting for, they definitely succeeded with Oberon. But I think that they've succeeded much harder with Warframes, as I said, like Rhino, Inaros, Excal, Mesa, and I don't know. Where the bar is what I really want to know. And hopefully you guys really want to know. So I've gone off on a lot of tangents, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be streaming tonight. We're going to be doing more Oberon testing, and I'll hope to see you there. Later, everybody.